Good evening, everybody. So this is Beading is Medicine with the First Nations Family Advocate Office. I'm Jen. I'm one of the hosts. And today Steph is going to be taking us through the next step of our earrings that we're making, the beaded earrings, the flat stitch 2-needle applique. And she's going to go over some banding as well. So that's going to be really helpful. And if we can get to it, maybe we'll cover some edging. But then I have Steph here as well as Kara and Swain.
So Jen did freeze a little bit. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show how to do a little bit of the banding. So for those of you that want to add banding to your earrings, that's totally an option. Not everybody has to add banding. If you don't want to, you can just leave your earring like this. I would suggest tying it off at the back, tying off both of the threads, and then cutting it off. If you're not going to add banding, this is where you'll want to cut around the earring, but not too close to the edge. So I'll show you a little bit later, but I want to show a little bit of how to do the banding first. It wouldn't take me very long. Sometimes it takes me about 10 or 15 minutes to do a piece of banding. So I will show you how I do my banding. And what I'm going to do today is the plastic banding. You can either choose when you go to, I usually go to the Winnipeg Trading Post, and then I buy either the plastic banding you can find there, or else you can find this kind, and it's like sort of like a chain. And you can see there's little links. Yeah, so today I find a lot of people, well, with the thing is this plastic banding, I do it a little different than what I do the metal banding. The metal banding seems a little bit easier. So I just want to show you how I do the plastic banding, as there is, not sure if you could see that up close. I have this black one here. It's a little bit wider than what I have here in the white one. I just want to kind of show you a little bit the size difference. So as you can see on the black one, there is little threads in between each little gem. It is the same thing on this white banding as it is this black banding. And what we're going to do is we're going to utilize both sides. I use one side. So if you can look, see the threads in between. We're going to use one of those threads to tack it down. And then later on, when we do the edge beading, we'll use the other side of that thread to tack down the edge beading. Now, does anybody have any questions? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I wasn't speaking. Nobody heard. Okay, so we're going to start with this white banding. Okay. What I usually do is, like, say how I said about the design, right? You never want to start, maybe you might want to start where the design is, or maybe a little bit off to the side a bit. I'm going to start off to the side a little bit. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did when I added my second row. I'm going to come up a little bit beside the beads. So I'm going to bring my needle up right here, a little bit beside the beads. So this is my double thread that I'm using as well. Just so you know, it'll make it a little bit stronger to hold the banding on. So I'm just going to, what I do is I place my banding right where I added my thread, and I'm going to have my thread. I'm going to put my needle going down in between those two threads. So I just kind of want you to see a little bit of a loop there. See, I'm holding it on by that one thread on the inside. I'm not going straight over top of it. I'm going in between, in the middle of the threads that are there. Would it be better if I use the black, maybe? That way it's more visible. I'll use the black only because maybe it might be more visible. I'm using a black banding with a white thread. I think that might be more visible for everybody. Okay, so what I did there was I put my banding there, and I put my thread in between. in between those two threads on the banding. So I'm only holding on to the one side closest to the beads of the thread. So I'm going to come up closer to the next gem. So this will be the next gem coming up. Go through, and we go down in between here. So I'm going down in between, and I'm only holding on to the left side of the thread on the banding. So it goes in the middle. And over space, maybe you'll be able to see it a little better. You can see how that went down inside there. And see, I just went down inside there, in the middle of those two bandings. And come behind again, the next gem. In the middle. And I just want to make sure I'm always tacking down the thread of the banding on this side. And sometimes when I'm doing banding like this, I like to just go like this and just make sure it's going to make it around in a nice circle. I guess tonight we can get to the point of gluing down the earrings and kind of getting to the edge beading. That way everybody can watch it on the video. So you can't even really tell that I'm using white thread on a black banding. Sometimes I like to match up the color of thread that I'm using to the color of banding that I'm using. If I'm using a dark banding, I'll use a dark colored thread, just because sometimes you could see it more. If I was using a turquoise banding, you would be able to see the white thread a little bit more. But today I didn't have any white turquoise banding. So when I get about halfway, I find that that's usually the point where I want to make sure that my banding is going to make a nice circle around, because sometimes, say how I have this banding, it has really big spaces in between. If I'm to go like this, I go like this and I just hold it down where they're actually going to be sitting when they're all tacked down. I like to go like this just to make sure. You see, those two are going to be really tight, right? They're going to be touching. So that's good. You don't want to have like a big gap in between. Let's say sometimes if you were to do an earring, sometimes the banding might only make it up to there, and then there's a big gap in between the two gems on the banding. So you always want to make sure that the banding is going to fit nicely. That's what the good thing about chain banding is. With chain banding, you can always like tack it down and move the gems closer and closer together. And this is the same technique that I would use with the chain banding. But the chain banding is just like one little chain. So you would only have to go in between each gem of the chain banding. I just wanted to do this banding only because I do it a little different on this one by utilizing both threads of the banding holding the gems. Is everybody kind of following? Okay, so we'll continue with this. I always think people must be enjoying themselves if it's so quiet.
I just spilled so many beads. I was like I was trying to match the color to like my turtle thing, and I was like, that looks right, and I'm like pouring the bead thing toward it instead of holding the turtle thing closer to the beads. I'm really smart, so.
Okay, I really think I really like the way this black banding looks on this earring. Okay, so I'm getting close to the end. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut it right there. I'm going to cut it on the very last one that I used. Sometimes there's all these little things hanging off, and sometimes I'll burn it. I'm picky. I've been beading a while, so I get really picky. Okay, so see how I said that these ones get a little tight there? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this gem right here and push it over a little bit. I'm going to use the gem beside it that's kind of popping up a little bit. This one is popping out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my thread and my needle right close to that bead. I mean, right close to that gem. And I'm kind of go under, like I'm tacking it down, but I'm kind of going under the gem to tack it down, just kind of to move it this way a little bit. So it makes room for the next ones that are coming up. And so see how this one, I kind of went where the actual gem is sitting, just so that I can move it over a little bit. I'm going to push it over a little bit, and I'm going to kind of go underneath there. And pull it tight so that it pulls it over a little bit to make room for the next one. And the last gem. Okay, so see how they were spaced there? I didn't have to do that, pulling it over, but that's okay. This is usually how it looks at the end. And then usually what I do is I put some glue there. I usually put glue under those two little things that are sticking up because that was my first one and my last one that I've added. Ouch. I just broke a nail. I need a toothpick or something. I don't have a toothpick.
Hey, Chris, is everybody muted?
I think everybody's just beading. Thank you.
There's just this like funny like lizard sort of sound that happens when like I think it's echoing off of someone else's phone going.
No, everybody else is muted.
Yeah, I wonder what
okay,
that's
so what I said about that last two gems, I'm going to take just the littlest little dab of glue. And I'm going to stick it under these two gems. I always see lots of people, they don't glue theirs down. You don't have to if you don't want to. I usually do. It doesn't take long to dry either. So usually those two gems, I'll just sit it there, and then sometimes I'll just hold it for a few minutes. Sometimes it might take like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. But the glue dries really fast. So you have to work quickly. I'm just gonna sit here and hold these for a little bit. When these are dry, that's when we're gonna wanna cut our beadwork off of this pellon. The piece of pellon will cut all the way around the banding and cut our beadwork out. Sometimes if you have, I go to the Dollar Tree a lot, especially after work. I have these little clamps. So I'm gonna cut part of my pellon off. And I'm just gonna use this little clamp to clamp the gems down. That way I don't have to sit here and hold it. Just gonna leave that like that. And see, you can buy these at the Dollar Tree. I bought, it comes in a little pack of 6. And also I find sometimes when you have cabochons, sometimes they're rough around the edges, eh? And if you ever get a cabochon that's rough around the edges, I always use a nail file. I have a bunch of little nail files that I've cut into pieces. But I use little nail files to go around my cabochon to make it nice and round and smooth.
It's so smart.
Because if there is like little pieces of plastic that are still on like a resin gem, the beads won't get nice and close to the resin gem. So you kind of have to just use something to scratch it off a little bit. Also too, I wanted to say, if anybody's going to use their little beadwork for a pop socket, so if you want to use your beadwork for a pop socket, I would suggest, like, say I did this one and then there's a backing on it. You always want to put a backing on it and then edge it around the thing. But before you glue it to a pop socket, make sure you scratch up that pop socket, because something smooth it won't stay glued to something smooth. There always has to be a rough surface. So I always scratch things up like lots.
What kind of backing are you using for that?
This one?
Yeah.
This is vinyl. This is a vinyl backing. I order it from like Sunday Lace Creations and things like that. And also I bought a 1 meter of white vinyl backing from Marshall. Marshall Fabrics for like about $11.99, and it's a nice big huge chunk. So it's pretty cheap to buy backing, and it would probably, with that piece that I got, I could probably make, I don't know, hundreds of earrings. And then it was just pretty able to pull it off.
Here.
Check this. As you can see, I left my double thread on here too after I was done my banding. I'm just going to tie that off because the next thing we'll be doing is the edge beading.
I love
so I usually
it. I love it.
So I usually just use a piece of thread in the back that I used for tacking down to make a knot for my thread. Yeah, that would be great if everybody could like send pictures of your beadwork and stuff like that. Maybe even if you're enjoying our group every week, just so that we could keep it going. I'm sure that would help a lot.
Yeah. Good point. I was thinking too, if we get that sort of feedback, then that will help us too to kind of push for funding to get more kits. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot I wasn't on mute and I was like working out a big tangle. So sorry if you heard me cursing.
No, we didn't hear you.
Okay, that's good.
So one of my needles, I'm going to double thread it only because I know that soon we're going to be doing the edge beading. And with edge beading, I always double my thread just to make sure. I'm just going to grab a hook and maybe a fingernail backing. Lots of people, I'm not sure who would like to do fingernail backings or who just wants to do hooks.
It's so satisfying when you like your beads are the perfect amount. That just happened to me with my finishing up my second row. Yes.
Okay. So I have some hooks here that I bought from the Winnipeg Trading Post. It says $2. Those are big hooks though. They're like, I notice sometimes when I buy hooks, they're really small. So I went to the Trading Post and I bought like big hooks. I noticed that I have big earlobes, so I need the bigger hooks. And also these are fingernail posts. So some people like them, some people don't. It all depends on what you want to make.
Hey, Steph.
Yep.
Should I go back through my second row, like how you did the first row, where you like went through every bead?
Yeah, I always do that with every single row that I do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And this is a piece of vinyl that I have. So I bought this from, I believe I ordered it online from Sunday Lace Creations a while back. And this is what I use for backing. So that's what I use for the back of these earrings. And this one is done, it just needs a hook. You can't really see anything on the edge. So I'm not sure if anybody likes the fingernail posts, but I will show you just of how I would do it. So I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to cut my beadwork out. So I like to get kind of close to the banding. So see, there's my cutout piece. And this is how the back looks. My threads, my mix is back there. Nice in the front. What I do when I get a piece like this is I take my backing. So this is the backing that I have. And I'll put it on here. And I'll trace it out with a pen. Some people just glue theirs down like that and then cut it out after. I always trace mine with a pen first. And I like to give a little bit of room around it. And if you're doing design, so say if I did a design, I would want to say there's a turtle on top here, how Jen's is, I would usually go like this and I would put top. This is the top. You know, that's the upright. And then I might put like number 1. And then sometimes I would put like, you know, number 1 on here, only because sometimes I stop with my beadwork. I take a pause and then I'm like, oh, which one went with which? So I usually number them and put what is the top and the bottom, especially if there's design. So I'm going to cut this piece out. Excuse me. I'm going to cut this piece out now. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. I like leaving some room. So I might trim it up a little bit later anyway, after. So after I have my cutout piece, that's when I put glue. I'll put glue on the back of this and I'll put face up on there. So I'm gonna grab the glue. Like I said, you always gotta watch with this glue. It oozes out so fast. You don't squeeze it too much. And I always ask that you put like a fair amount. See, there's not too much, but there's a little bit. I'm just gonna put that down onto the vinyl. Some people, you know what, a lot of people I know that they use just the Pellon. They'll just use a Pellon backing. And it's for a lot of the times people have sensitive ears, and that is why people will just use another piece of Pellon to back it. What I wanted to show you was how I would do one of these fingernail posts. This one is going to be a dangly earring, but I want to show you what I would do with a fingernail post. So I should have traced this twice, but that's okay. Oh, maybe I could do it on this one. So I have this little piece here that has no backing. I'll show you on here. So what I do is I do the same thing. I'll trace it out and I'll cut it out. This is, I find like, I just learned this myself just by doing it. I never had anybody teach me. I was just like, how can I make it look nice and neat and clean? So this is just the way that I do it myself. So what I'll do is when this earring goes on there, I want this fingernail post in here. But when I put it on, it's going to be sticking out that way, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go like this. I'll put it in the middle. And I make one little mark on here. And the mark is going to go underneath right here, the bottom of that fingernail post. So where that line is, I'm going to take my vinyl and I'm going to fold it in half like this, just like a little taco. And I'm going to cut that line. So you see there's a hole there now. I'm going to take my fingernail post, and that's where I'm going to put this piece through that hole, but coming out this way. So that when I go like this and it closes up, my fingernail post is going to be sitting inside there like this. And then what I have to do is I just have to poke that through the part that's going on your earring. You just want to make sure it's nice and centered. And see how it's going to poke through? I'm just going to push that through. And there you go. So there like that. What I would do is I would stick a little bit of glue underneath the fingernail post, the vinyl, in between there. And then I would just stick a whole bunch of glue on top of here. So I'll show you. So I got my toothpick and I'm just going to stick that glue underneath that fingernail post. And then next, I'm just going to add glue all over on here. And I want to make sure I get a good amount on that fingernail post because I want it to stick. And this, I'm just going to put on top. These I would usually let sit probably at least half an hour or so, just so that it's dry. I usually use my little clamps. So when it's dry, that earring will be ready for some edge beading. See, I'm just gonna let that sit. And I have glue everywhere. Sometimes if I get glue somewhere like this, I'll just let it dry. And then after, when it gets a little bit more dry, I could just more or less pick it up. It's almost like a silicone. So that's this piece drying, and now we have this piece drying. Anybody have any questions?
Where did you get the clamps again? Sorry, I forgot.
The clamps I got from the Dollar Tree.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah, I got those at the Dollar Tree in their arts and crafts little department thing there.
Nice. My earrings ended up being kind of goth, and I didn't mean for that to happen, but they're kind of the reflection of this like turtle thing has so many colors. It was hard to pick colors. I kept thinking like, oh, orange will look good, and then it was in a different light, and I'm like, wait, that's more purple.
Yeah, I find that's like the hardest part for me is picking colors. Like,
yeah,
the gem, I could look at it and I'd be like, oh, I want to bead that. That's so pretty. But then when it comes down to actually picking a color, I find that's the hardest part.
For sure.
And design as well. Do you want to go with design or just straight 2 colors, solid colors?
Mm-hmm.
I decided to do a design with mine.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, when I'm beading, I notice that that's like my favorite thing is when it just goes quiet. I know everybody's concentrating. Everybody's working hard.
Working hard for my money.
I only poked myself once with the needle, so we're good.
I'm just going to trim around this earring that I have here. There's just a little bit of excess stuff. I'm just going to trim it.
Do you ever mix bead sizes, Steph?
Yeah, you know what? I mix beads sometimes, so there is lots of different beads. My favorite beads are probably the 2-cut.
Okay.
2-cut beads. So see how those seed beads look there?
Yeah.
These 2-cut beads are like kind of crooked.
Oh.
They look like delicas. They're small like delicas, but they're not all the same size, but they're my favorite beads to work with.
Really cool.
And they're more expensive. Like say a delica, certain delicas you might be able to get for like $2.95. If you get the shiny ones or things like that, they'll be like $4.95. These ones are probably like $6 for like a little bag.
Oh wow.
But yeah, it's like they're really nice. There's lots of really nice beads out there. And the more beads that I buy, sometimes my hubby gets mad at me. And then I'm like, I'll never have all the colors. Like there's just too many colors. Never in my life will have every color of bead that I ever want.
I know I see people do like gradients, like they do like, like dark red into bright red or something, and they use all these different shades. And I'm like, that is so crazy. Like it's impressive, but I'm like, you'd have to have so many colors.
Yeah. Leonard, can you go get my little red thing of earrings upstairs? Oh no, it's my bear paw one on my night table. That's my favorite thing to do. I love to like go from dark to light and blending the colors.
It's so cool.
For a while there, I had I do, a lot of people say it's called beater's block. So I haven't beaded in probably almost a year, I could say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of got me back into the beading. So
Good.
Thank God for this. But yeah, I'm starting to enjoy it again.
Good.
I had a beater's block. I didn't know what colors or anything like that I would ever want to do. And I keep looking at other people's beadwork to get some inspiration, but
yeah,
I haven't found anything yet.
When I first started, I was just like obsessed with like color combinations. So I like started keeping a note in my phone of like new color combinations. I think it would keep me up at night. I'm like, I have to write that one down.
So here's an earring with a fingernail post backing.
Nice.
That I did. So that's how this one will look after it's edge beaded. If people don't want to edge bead, they could totally just go like this and, just leave the edge. You don't have to edge bead it if you don't want to. That is totally up to you. Some people will just leave them like this and just kind of add a hook. So this is what I was talking about, blending colors. This is what I love to do. My favorite.
Wait, I want to see. Sorry.
Yellow to an orange to a red, and it's just kind of fading.
Oh yeah, that's so gorgeous.
Like the colors are fading to each other. I love doing stuff like that. And
that's so beautiful.
I like using red especially. Red is my favorite when we're doing that. I forgot about these little earrings.
Brittany, your combination's gonna match your shirt amazingly.
I was just thinking that.
I really like the color of that. Like it's like a baby pink that you chose, hey?
Yeah. Well, that's like the color. What is the thing in the middle called again?
It's a cabochon.
Cabochon is kind of like multicolor. So I was having the same issue. Do I use purple? Do I use blue? Do I use pink?
With that kind of gem, that's what I was saying, was that whatever color you put beside it, it will take on that color and it will shine that color. So if you would have even put a turquoise beside it, it would have been more shining turquoise.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about those ones, is that you can use any color.
Yeah, it's very nice.
And that's going to look so nice in the sun. And I bet you, Jen, how you said yours is looking kind of emo or whatever, yours will probably look really nice and shiny in the sun as well. I think that's the main thing, is when you take your beadwork outside and you look at it in the sun.
Nice.
And then it's just nice and shiny and sparkly.
I'm putting like matte black around the edges. like I'm not on the edge, but like just like my last row. And then I'm gonna do like, I have this sort of like delica. Can you do an edge with a delica, or is that weird?
No, I always do. I do edges with whatever beads I'm working with.
Okay, because I have this like kind of rose gold one. I thought that would look good with the center.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. Steph, we've lost the camera, the other camera. There we go.
Oh, my battery said low battery. It'll still be good. What time is it? Just let me know if it happens again.
Well,
my phone is usually good like almost all day, and I was just charging it a little bit before we started. So I'm gonna get some double thread going. Mine doesn't have to be too long because my work isn't that big. But if yours is like one of the bigger kind of cabochons, so kind of put a good amount of thread where you'll be able to make it around your earring doing some work. So I'm just double threading mine and putting a knot at the end for the edge beading. I just want to show some edge beading before we are going to end. That way people can watch the video and that may help them until next week.
Awesome.
I have a quick question. Okay, I finally finished my first row. And so after I do that, I just go through all of the beads.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
After you go through all of the beads and make a whole circle, you'll want to go down and take your double thread to the back. Go through the pellon and then take your double thread to the back.
Okay, and then I start a new row?
Yeah. You'll do the same thing that you did with the second row, how you kind of came up beside the cabochon. You want to kind of come up just a little bit beside the beads. That you'll have enough room to start another row there. Okay, so this one here, I'm going to start some edge beading for you guys, okay?
Sweet.
What I usually, sorry, what were you saying?
Or I just said sweet.
Okay. So what I usually do is I usually peel up the side right there, and then I go in the back. But I hide my knot that I did. And see, I'm just gonna come in between those two gems. I'm coming up between those two gems. Remember how I said I utilize both sides of the thread of this edge beading? So now I'm going to utilize this side of the thread of that edge beading. I mean, of the banding as I'm edge beading. So I just want you to see where my needle is. It's in between those two gems coming up. See, so when I pull that, you can't see where my knot is in the back. And my very first one, so I'm just gonna do a straight turquoise. So the first one I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4 beads. So I added, I got 4 beads on my needle, and I'm just gonna come through the back and come to the front in between that thing, and utilizing that thread. I'm going to pull this through. And your beads are going to sit like this. Some people leave their edge beading like that. I do not. I usually bring my thread and I come up through the 4th bead that I added. So this one's coming up through the 4th bead. And I'm going to pull that up and pull it a little tight, not too tight. So they're sitting, the beads are kind of sitting like that for now. And see, this is coming up right here. And then this one I added 4 beads, right? So that was the beginning of it. So right now I'm going to add 3 beads. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come up here. My banding isn't sitting the way I want it to sit, but that's okay. Nothing's perfect. So I'm going to come up through here in between those gems again and do the same thing. Thread is a little tangly right now. So see, I have those 3 beads sitting there again, and I'm going to come up through the last bead again. That 3rd bead. And now they're going to be sitting like this. Oh. And I'm just going to continue doing that all the way around and using in between each gem there and that thread on that banding on the outside edge.
So you're coming up underneath that band and looping on like that second little band between, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
3 beads again. It'll look weird at first, but then the more you get on, you'll start to see.
Sweet.
It'll start to take shape. And you can use as many beads as you want. I just started out with 4, just that way we get kind of like a nice edge like that around. It'll always show, like say I used 4 here, and then I'm going down to 3. That always means that there's 2 in the middle, 1 down here, 2 in the middle, 1 down here, 2 in the middle, 1 down here. You could use 3 beads if you wanted.
Right.
And if, so my banding is kind of the thicker banding that I used so that you guys, I can make it a little bit more visible. The banding you would most likely buy at the bead store is a smaller banding. When I watched the last video, I really liked the music that was played in between. I was even watching it, and then I was like wondering, I was like, where's that music coming from? And I was like looking around, and I didn't have no headphones in or anything, but I was like, where's the music coming from? And then I realized it was the video. So this is how it's starting to look.
Uh-oh.
Everything okay? For me, I like beading, so I find too when I watch videos on YouTube or anything like that, it's like comforting for me to watch people bead.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked watching that Charlene Holy Bear. She's the one who does the vans.
Oh, cool.
She beads the vans.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
I want to do like a hat, but I want to get like a decent hat that has like that kind of thicker brim.
Yeah, you know how you bead the brim of a hat?
How?
Are you meaning just the edge of it or the whole brim?
Just the edge.
I would poke holes in it. You would want to like mark it out and poke the holes first because you don't want to break a whole bunch of needles trying to bead the brim of a hat.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
I saw on Pinterest like a little demonstration on how to do it. So if you want, check it out.
There's lots on Instagram, like lots of people. I find for myself, when I started beading, nobody wants to share. I had a hard time finding people that wanted to share stuff with me. I find a lot of beaders are competitive.
Right.
Like they're trying to like, oh, better, do something better, make it better than what yours was. You know, I'll do the same thing that you made, but I'll just try to make it better. Like, you know, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to be a competition.
Yeah.
And it feels like if we don't share what we know in our knowledge, how are we going to carry, you know how they say carrying your traditions, right?
Yeah.
We're going to carry that on if we're not willing to share freely.
Totally. I see lots of conversations too about like people kind of like feeling like their work is being stolen or whatever, and like being sold. And like I get the being sold part, but I think when you first start out, like it helps to just see an example and try that, and then like you sort of kind of build your own style from there, you know?
Yeah. And not to mention, sometimes it's not that they're stealing. Maybe you got to think of the word, right? Maybe they were inspired.
Yes. Yeah.
They were inspired by your work and they loved it so much that they were like, oh, I gotta try that, see if I can do it. And
yeah,
like, you know, with beadwork though, most bead workers will ask that you ask them first. So
right.
say if I made this today and somebody's seen it, the most respectable thing would be to call me or message me and say, hey, can I make that same thing, or do I need to order it from you, you know? And then
right.
they'll let you know what they
Yeah,
prefer.
that's a good point. There's like etiquette, so that's good to know.
Yeah. I'm going to try to finish this up so that I can show you how I end the edge beading at the end.
Look at that, you're just whipping through it. It's impressive.
I was telling my hubby, I think it was like 4:30. I was like, I got to get home and bead. I was like, I only did that one row since last week. So I came home and I rushed and I did the 2 rows here really quick. Just so that we could get to this point today.
Oh, that's awesome.
To show everybody that. And I always ask my daughter, I'm like, oh, it's my beading circle today. So where are you going?
Yeah. You got plans, right?
My granddaughter, she's loud. Like she loves to scream. And if you don't hear her, she'll scream even louder.
It's like, excuse me.
I
was talking.
So I told her kind of needed it quiet for a little while. I find with the edge beading, you don't want to use too much thread. You don't usually need too much either, because you're more or less just going around in a circle and you're just tacking a little bit. So it's almost like the tacking thread where you won't use too much of it.
Right.
So I just say that because I don't want you to add too much thread as to where you might get all tangled when you're doing your thing here.
Okay.
Because I want to share something right now. So say if you ran out of thread right here, or if you got tangled, what I would do myself is I would thread another needle. What I would do is I would thread another needle, and I would do the same thing that I did at the beginning. Is I would go in the back, and then I would bring it up, and both of the threads would be coming out the same bead.
Oh.
I would tie those 2 threads together, and I would cut off the one where I'm running out of thread.
Okay.
And then I would keep going an edge bead. I won't cut that off until I'm done the whole earring and the whole bead work. And then I would probably burn it a little bit so you wouldn't be able to see it that much. It wouldn't be so visible.
Right.
But that's what I would do if I ran out of thread around here.
Oh, sweet. That's a good tip. Thank you.
So I just wanted to explain that on here for anybody in case they run out of thread. and they're watching the video. I remember thinking that when I first started, I was like, what am I gonna do? I ran out of thread. I was like, oh no. I found last week too, after I was done beading and I just like went and sat down and watched TV. I felt super, I don't know, happy and you know, felt good to bead.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny. I was just gonna say that I really look forward to this, and it makes me really happy to have something to do. Like, and just like, and it makes me so happy.
Yeah, it's so nice. I feel like it's not that often. Like, I feel like that's probably used to be like a big thing for us, like in our culture back then, you know, where like people would get together and do an activity together that was like focused and like, but still communal. And it's like we do that, but with work, and work is so different because it's like a different type of stress. But this is so like nice and soothing.
Yeah, I felt super happy.
Good. I'm so glad. It's been good for us too. We need wellness.
Yeah,
I love it. And I think that when they say beading is medicine, like when I talked to the woman that like had the kits and everything, and she was just saying like, yeah, I'd love to share that with people because, you know, it's just such a good for your spirit, and it's a nice way to connect with other people too if you get to bead together. So miigwech, Steph, for always being willing to share all your beautiful knowledge.
Yes, thank you for sharing.
you're welcome. So what I was going to say is that sometimes I add a little loop for my hook. This time I didn't, as I was just doing as I was just going around and around and around, right? So I didn't really add any place to add my hook. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And I was just realizing I didn't add a spot to add my hook.
Oh, can you add that after?
Yeah, I usually do it right at the beginning.
Okay.
But I can, like, this is just my practice piece for you guys, right? So I'll show you right now what I would do. So say Jen, you would want to put yours right at the top where your turtle is, right?
Yeah.
What I would do is like, see how this one, I only have one bead right there.
Yeah.
So I'd probably add maybe, what I want is my little loop to have maybe 3 beads on this side, 3 beads on this side, plus this one that's going to sit like that. So I'm going to pick up 7 beads. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it's just more or less the same as what I'm doing here. So I picked up 7 beads, and I'm going to go down in between those gems like I have been doing with everything else. And I'm bring this here. Tangle.
Oh.
So that's where my loop would be.
Mm-hmm.
And all I have to do is go through the very last bead, the 7th bead.
And that brings it forward?
Yeah, and I want to leave the other 6 alone.
Okay.
So I would go like that. And then there would be my little loop.
Oh, perfect. That's so cute.
For my little hook. And I'll continue. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I bought these things called thread guardians. Have you seen those?
Mm-hmm. I don't think so.
I'll try to find them to show you. I thought you would find them kind of cool, but I gotta find them. Sorry, keep going.
Okay, so I'm just gonna add the 3 more beads again. And see, we're getting to the very last one. So this is where I'm gonna, the next one is where I'm gonna be ending my edge beading. So remember at the beginning, we added 4 beads, and after that, I did 3 beads after that. So, excuse me, see that gap in between there? I'm only adding 2 beads at the end. So I'm only gonna add 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in that very first bead that I added right at the beginning. I'm going in that very first bead. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to put it down in between that banding, just like I would do if I was edge beading. I'm going to take it down. I just don't want my thread to tangle right at the very last minute. So I'm going to pull it through the back. And remember that very first bead that we added right there? What I'm going to do is I'm going to, through the back, I'm going to come up through that very first bead that I added. So that's the very first bead that I added, and I'm coming up through it because there was 4 there before when I first started. And I only added 2 here to make this one the flat one. I'm just trying to make sure my thread doesn't tangle. Okay, so I went through that very first bead that I added. It's now becoming my last bead. And see how it matches everything else after. And that's our edge beading. And usually what I do to tie it off is I usually come up from just in the thread there. We just use the thread. Go like that. See how my knot is tucked in there? I'm gonna cut this off and I'm gonna burn it. This way it burns and it's melted down inside there. So I'll leave a little spot like that, little things of thread, so that I can burn them and they'll melt. This thread is good for melting. There. And there we have it.
Wow, that's so nice. Amazing.
So beautiful, Stephanie.
What's that?
It's so beautiful.
Thank you. So there's our earring.
Awesome. I love it. I love those colors. They're so cute.
I just wish I would have thought about that hoop, that little loop when I was like over here somewhere.
Oh,
but that's okay.
Yeah, I love that it's kind of asymmetrical too. It's cute. Like just like the colors. These are those things. They're called I don't know if you can see that, but they're called thread wire guardians. Sorry. I don't know if it's
back it up just a little bit. Back up just a little bit. There you go.
I can't see it.
I'll try to pull one out to show you, but it's like this. It's like these little things. So you know when you made that loop with the beads, you basically, instead of using beads, I guess you just put it through this thing, and then it has a little metal like so that way when you put your hook on it, it's just metal on metal, so it doesn't like wear out your shirt. Yeah,
I see. That's a good idea. You could probably get those at Michael's, right? So
yeah,
you're talking about something like this, right? So I have an earring here, but
yeah,
like
exactly.
That.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
This girl that I follow, she said that she recommended them just because she had some people return some earrings to her because like the thread was starting to wear out.
So you know what I've done with this before is that I've just used like one of those links that's a circle.
Oh yeah.
And I've sewn it down in the back there.
Oh, cool. That's a good idea.
And then as I was doing edge beading, I went through it again a little bit and went in the back. And then this is how it ended up.
Oh, nice. That's perfect.
So that could just be one of those little round circle hooks too. If
actually,
somebody wants to sew those down too.
I think those are in the kits. Actually, I think you should have a few of those little circles.
I was hoping one day we could do one of those, the little red dresses.
Yeah, that would be great. With the delicas, or just like, can it be regular beads?
I would use delicas only because they sit better. They're always the same size and whatnot.
Yeah. We should try to, like, maybe that's like something we can work on too. Because I think like the kit is mostly seed beads.
Mm-hmm. Seed beads would be good, just that you just have to pick and choose from them. And you know
Yeah.
what? I noticed a lot of people using seed beads for those, and they were just making pins.
Oh, cool.
Missing and murdered Indigenous women pins with their dresses. There's a technique that I wanted to show with brick stitch, because it is last time we did brick stitch, and I know a few people were really confused. So I would really like to do another brick stitch earring.
Yeah, I would love that. That'd be awesome.
Because there's so many different kinds of earrings that you can make with brick stitch.
Yeah, I would love to do
feathers. Everybody loves feathers. And then also, like I said, those missing and murdered Indigenous women earrings. I'd really like for people to know how to make those. Those are really good. Everybody loves those earrings, and when they see that you're making them, they'll be like, "Can you make me a pair?" And you can save $20. Or whatever you want to charge.
Yeah,
I think they're worth way more than $20.
For sure. Definitely.
So this one here too is done.
Nice.
And that one just is like the clip on here.
Oh, that looks great. So that's just like the banded edge instead of like the beaded edge, hey?
No, it's just that I did the fingernail post on this one. Just showing people in case they wanted to do a fingernail post on their earrings. Some people don't like the dangly. Some people like the ones that are sitting right up on their ear.
Right.
These ones I find, like, say if you're to wear these kind of earrings, you kind of have to get used to them, especially if your ears are sensitive.
Right.
But it feels like you're not wearing earrings when you have the fingernail post.
Yeah, they're not like moving around as much.
Yeah, I have a couple earrings like that. The only reason I can't wear them is because I'm always on the phone, always answering phone calls. And then I have to take off one earring just to be on the phone.
Actually, I noticed that with I have these like beaded hoops I got from this like artist, and when I'm on the phone, I have to take them off because they're like, these ones are okay, but the bigger ones I have, they're just like, they get in the way.
Yeah.
But I feel like nowadays, like, except for when you're at the office, like I'm never on my actual like cell phone that much. I'm always like texting or on speaker because I'm driving.
Mm-hmm. Maybe even we could do some hoops one of these days, like just beading around a hoop.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Like I don't know, one of the things of beading, I've never really cared for peyote stitching. Peyote stitching for me, I find it's hard.
Yeah, that looks really tough. Like I think like this book I have has that. It looks crazy tough.
Yeah, because it is a beading and it's like one bead at a time and it takes forever.
Yeah.
And I noticed, like, you know, most lanyards nowadays are just made by the wrapping technique rather than a peyote stitch. Peyote stitch makes it more tighter.
Right. Yeah, I've seen someone do hoops like that and I was like, whoa, it's so cool. But that definitely looks like super challenging.
Mm-hmm. I made my friend a lanyard from peyote stitching before, and it was like, took me so long. I swear it took me like a year because I didn't care for it. She didn't mind. She was like, take your time. But it was like, I took my time because she kept saying that. And I didn't. And it took so long just to do the work.
She's like, where's my lanyard?
I don't have any hoops, beaded hoops. Looks like I should bead myself some hoops.
Yeah, hoops would be good to get. My ears are sensitive too, so I have to like buy the kind that I guess are, or at least like, I don't know, at least sterling or steel or something. Just because
stainless steel. You could buy those at Michael's.
Yeah. I saw some there actually when me and Karen went. They had they have a whole jewelry section, and they have like hoops that you can pretty much grab, and then they have a bunch of other things that you could probably pretty easily bead onto.
Michael's, it's good to go there, but you have to watch out for the deals, because it's quite expensive. So it's best to go when you have deals, or even when you go there and then you get your receipts, and it says 40% off.
Right, you get a coupon or something.
Yeah,
the coupons are good when you get one. When you get a deal.
Because I find Michael's quite expensive. I'll only go there once in a while when I know that I have extra to spend.
Yeah, like their beads, if you just like buy them like regular, it's like, dang, you can get a way better deal at Trading Post and like Bessie's and stuff.
Has anybody got to their edge beading or their banding?
I'm almost done my third row here. I'll show you in a second. What time is it?
It is 6:53.
Ooh, okay, we're doing good. So one thing I really miss about our office when we were open is all the adorable little babies we used to get to see. And it was so nice, and you get to like snuggle them and smooch them and just love them up, and people will be like, hold my baby, I gotta go to this and do that, and I'm like, yes. And now that's not so much, but I got to see my dad, his partner's daughter, had a baby, and she was only like 6 days old, and I got to hold her with my mask on, but she was so cute and small, and I was like, oh my gosh, I miss all the tiny babies in the office. They're just so stinking sweet, and they smell real good. They make tiny cute noises. She was already sucking her thumb. I thought that was so cute.
I always do that. I always snuggle my granddaughter's head, like even their baby sweat. Oh
yeah,
their baby sweat is just the cutest.
So cute. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. My hubby's saying, "What about my sweat?" I'm like, "Oh."
Like, yeah, I don't miss the big sweaty hockey bag. Joel's all offended right now. Just kidding.
It was so nice out today. I hope everybody had a good day.
Yeah, what a nice day to go out too and see everybody.
Yeah, that was nice. Perfect day for that.
It was really good, and there was more than enough food. It worked out really well.
Oh, awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. I was kind of working.
We went and took 75 packages out to our relatives who struggle with shelter and food. And we had 3 teams, and they each took 25 big servings of soup, some bannock and crackers and some cookies, and water. It went all over the city. It was wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah, when I was at the store, because like whenever we had to do shopping for food as medicine, and you go do the grocery shopping, people in the store always look at you like, where the hell do you think you're going with all that stuff? Like you're having a big party or something. And I was just like ready for someone to say something to me, because the last few times I've gone shopping for like a bunch of stuff, people are like, oh, what's that for? And I'm like, get out of here, you nosy Nelly. But yeah, so it was buying all those cookies. I'm like, oh, I just really like cookies. Okay.
Yeah, that happens to me when I do the giveaway for the Sundance. That one time, that one time I bought like 40 jackets for like $3 each. And that one lady's like, what are you doing with all these jackets? I was like, I'm going to give them all away. And
yeah, you're like, never mind.
I just can't believe it.
Even waiting to buy something, and then the person in front of you grabbing the same item has cleaned off the counter, cleaned off the shelf of what you're trying to buy.
Just like
it's like I needed one of those, and you've taken like 20 of them.
Like, oh, are you gonna buy one of these? No. Too bad you didn't get it here first. Just kidding. No, I'm not like that. I just remember like last year, I was probably still around this time, like April, March, when people were going bonkers over the toilet paper. Oh my God. That was crazy. People were buying it like it was going out of style, and it was like it's gonna come back.
I heard lots of people saying there's no toilet paper anywhere, Walmart, nothing. I'm like, you guys are crazy, because I go to my corner store and they are packed with toilet paper. Nobody's was going to these like little corner stores that they had around like in the little areas.
Right.
That's where all the toilet paper was.
Yeah. Everyone was storming Costco, just like so crazy. Yeah, me and Joel, I remember going to Walmart, and then I was just like, what the hell? It was so crazy. I'm not done yet, but I'll show you what I've done so far. I just like, if I can see it. Oh, it's really sunny over here.
It looks really nice and sparkly.
Wow.
That's
a little sparkly,
pretty.
Colorful. Oh, really shiny right now, but the sun's beaming in here. I did like sort of an accent, like a little purple in the black row, just right on the bottom, top, and the sides. And then, and then I'm gonna do like that rose gold sort of edging color. So I'll show you what I've done. I'll take a picture.
Is anybody else close to being done?
We got 2 rows. Getting there.
Nice.
I mixed up all my beads in my bowl, and I never thought about what it would be like to clean them up after.
Oh, you got bead soup.
Yeah, so I like picking out every bead and putting them in the right color.
Is that like pastel colors that you picked out?
Yeah.
Like a light pink and a light like baby blue or turquoisey color. Those are nice.
Yeah.
I love pastel colors.
But now I realize why you have so many different bowls, Stephanie.
That's one thing that I don't like to do is mix my beads. Like I have one big Ziploc baggie of bead soup, I call it. And I've never done that in a long time, like mix my beads. Like I will always keep them in these little trays, and then I go like this and I pour them back into their little baggies, and then they get filled.
Definitely have learned my lesson.
And sometimes, it's hard to certain colors when they sit beside each other, you can't determine them apart if you don't have the right lighting.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I know I've had trouble with that before too, and I was like wondering, is it just me? But it wasn't just me. It's like you need proper lighting to tell.
Right.
Like
your eyesight starts to go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if it's coming up on 7 o'clock here, I think we're pretty much ready to wrap up. Is there anything else? Anybody have any questions, or are we doing okay?
Well, I will just point out that you can find FNFAO, First Nations Family Advocate Office, on social media. We are on Twitter as FNFAOMB. We are on Facebook as First Nations Family Advocate. We are on Instagram as FNFAO. And if you go to YouTube, you can search for First Nations Family Advocate Office, and you will find us that way. All these videos are up on YouTube, and you can like, share, subscribe, do all of the social media things, and help us spread the word about beading is medicine. Because we also have a hashtag. It's a hashtag beading as medicine.
Thanks, Chris.
Also, it would be nice to see some of the ladies' work that they've done. Like I had shared earlier, it will kind of keep our program open to more people and to keep it going for maybe a longer period of time. Like say, I'm not sure how long we can do our beading circle for. It would probably be ongoing if we keep getting good feedback.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can always send the feedback to any of our pages that Chris mentioned. And if you have any questions at all too, feel free to call us. I know we kind of email you too. So when we email you for the Zoom link too, you can also respond back to us and we can connect that way as well. And that's pretty much it, I think, for today. But thanks for joining us. And
maybe if people have any of their own ideas of something they would like to bead, if I have the knowledge, I could try and share that as well.
Yeah, maybe we could put some polls up on Facebook or Instagram. Chris could put them together. But what kind of bead project would you like to do next?
Yeah, that would be nice.